July is my favorite month. School's closed, the university's on summer sessions, we don't have many meetings, things are kind of quiet. It's a time to kind of kick back a little bit, catch up a little bit, clean up a little bit, maybe take a few days off. July is my favorite month. But it wasn't always so. I used to dread July. I used to hate July when I was a kid, because on one of the first Mondays of the month of July, I grew up in Lancaster. They loaded all 100 of the altar boys, there were only altar boys at that point, on buses and took us to Emery Park for the altar boy picnic. To make it worse, it began with 2 baseball games. I never had to worry about the second game because I was always on the team that lost the first game. So. But the worst part was when they were picking sides. Maybe some of you have experienced this. Sometimes some of the guys' sisters came out to help with the picnic, and if they were good athletes, they got to play and they were picked before me. Once, like Snoopy and Charlie Brown, there was a dog there that got picked before me. So I wondered what the 72 felt like in the gospel today, huh? The 72 disciples. I mean, there were the 12, the inner 12, Peter and his brother Andrew and James and John and Thomas and Philip and Bartholomew, and I know I'm going to forget a couple, so I'm going to stop there, huh? There were the 12, the inner 12, and even from those 12, there were Peter, James, and John got to go up on the top of the mountain, and now there's this other 72. Are they the B team? Are they the second-tier players? What's going on here, huh? Well, whatever it is, they have their chance. They're being sent forth. Now, why 72? Because at the time of Jesus, it was believed that there were 72 countries in the world, 72 nations. So it's Luke's way of saying, this is only in Luke, it's Luke's way of saying that the whole world, every country, every nation is going to hear the gospel. That's why there's 72. And they go out to proclaim the kingdom. Announce to them, the kingdom of God is at hand for you. And for some that meant, that means we get to tell them there's fire and brimstone coming because they're sinners. But we know that Jesus says it is mercy I desire and not sacrifice. And the kingdom that he comes to bring is the kingdom that includes everyone. The kingdom of mercy, the kingdom of peace, the kingdom of healing, the kingdom of justice, for which so many throughout the world long. And they still long to this day to hear this message preached to them. And who will go to them? We who are the 72. All of us are sent forth. In a few minutes, we're going to be strengthened here at this table, and then we'll be sent forth. Deacon Paul will do the dismissal, and we'll go forth. And the Mass doesn't end with the final song. The Mass ends when you come back next week and we start again, because the Mass has to continue as you live it out in the world by being the disciples who bring the good news to others. There are people who will never hear the first reading that we heard from Isaiah that spoke about God's abundant love, God's overflowing love, this gracious love. They'll never hear that. They won't meet Isaiah. There are people who will never hear Paul speaking to the Galatians as we did in that second reading, telling them that God's love is for everyone. It's universal. No one is excluded. Not Jews, not Greeks, not slaves, not free, not men, not women. Everyone is included. Some will never hear that. There are some who will never meet the Pope. Most people won't have an encounter with the Pope, huh? But they will meet you. They won't come into this church. They won't meet Deacon Paul or Sister Jeremy or me or anyone else on the parish team, but they will meet you where you work or where you shop or where you live. They will meet you, and you are these 72 sent forth. And what are you to do? What are you to do? It's like the story of the 2 Jehovah's Witnesses that had to go forth on their mission. And one day it was a damp, rainy, cold day, and they were drenched, and they rang a doorbell, and a man opened the door, and he said, "Oh my goodness, you must be freezing. Come in, come in." And he sat them by the fire, and then he sat down, and they sat there for several minutes. And then the man said, "Well, what happens now? And the elder said, well, we don't know. We never got this far. We don't know what's next, huh? We don't know what's next either, because this day has not been lived. We don't know what we're going to encounter. We don't know who we're going to encounter, but we're going to be sent forth in pairs. Now, even if you came alone, even if you leave alone, you're not leaving alone. Jesus Christ is your companion on this mission, and you don't have anything to worry about. He says that. You have the power to tread upon serpents and scorpions, upon the full force of the enemy, and nothing will harm you. So what's next? What will happen now? We don't know. But we know he's with us. And he sends us forth to bring the good news of peace, of hope, of healing, of reconciliation, of joy to a world that is so eager and so hungry to receive it. Let's stand and pray.